I really like animation. Animation is a great way to tell a story and convey a message. Recently I watched many interesting animated shows that I greatly enjoy, so I decided to make a list of 10 really good animated shows that I would love to recommend. Some of the shows are sufficiently popular, so I think many people watched them already, or at least heard of them. Some are more niche. This is not a top, it's just a list. I'm gonna explain what makes each of these shows so good and why they are worth watching. I start with Pantheon. The show is first on my list because it's the most underrated show that not many people even heard of. It was released on an obscure AMC Plus platform last year. I don't know how many people actually use AMC Plus. It feels like AMC itself didn't want people to know about Pantheon. Besides putting it into their not really popular platform, AMC also messed up the release schedule, so some episodes were not even released in order. AMC almost completely sabotaged the show. And it's such a shame because the show is really good. It is a sci-fi story about a so-called UI, or uploaded intelligence. What if we could just upload someone's consciousness online? Our bodies are mortal, fragile, they wear out, they die from injury, sickness or age. But consciousness potentially can be immortal and never perish. The show asks philosophical questions such as, is uploaded consciousness still the same person, or is it someone entirely different? What are the ethical and moral aspects of uploading someone's consciousness into a server to exist as long as the server works? Add really good animation, a good soundtrack, and an interesting plot, and you'll get Pantheon. The first season ended with a cliffhanger. The second season is mostly completed but won't be released. Even though it's unlikely we'll see the second season anytime soon at least, the first season is definitely worth watching. It's really good. Now let's talk about something more family friendly. If you combine a Disney cartoon, anime and K-pop, you will get Amphibia. In the show, 3 teenage girls, Anne, Marcy and Sasha, are living in Los Angeles. In the local thrift shop, they find a mysterious music box that, quite unexpectedly, sends them to another world called Amphibia, which is inhabited by intelligent frogs, tots and newts. 3 girls end up in 3 different locations. Anne, the main protagonist, finds herself in a forest near Wardwood, a small town inhabited by frogs, and finds home in a family of planters, local farmers. The show is mostly episodic, but there is also an intriguing overarching plot and character development. Add vibrant, colorful animation, great original music, and tons of anime references. The show has just 3 seasons, so it's pretty easy to grasp. Genndy Tartakovsky is the creator of shows like Samurai Jack, Dexter's Lab, and Symbionic Titan. He also directed the infamous Hotel Transylvania trilogy. In 2019, Genndy released his passion project, an animated show called Primal. It is a really bizarre project. The show takes place in a prehistoric world inhabited by primal humans, dinosaurs, mammoths, Vikings, vampire bats, and giant spiders. The main character, a human named Spear, teams up with a Tyrannosaurus named Fang, and together they try to survive in this crazy world, fighting off giant spiders and zombie sauropods. The show works great with many genres, especially horror. The horror aspect is genuinely fantastic. One of the lineaments of the show is that there are almost no dialogues or monologues. The main duo are a caveman and a dinosaur, obviously they cannot speak. 2 seasons were already released and the 3rd season was announced not so long ago. I thought the perfect show did not exist until I watched it Over the Garden Wall. It is a mini-series consisting of 10-11 minute episodes with overall runtime a little less than 2 hours, like a regular movie. The show follows 2 main characters, brothers Wirt and Greg. Wirt is voiced by Elijah Wood himself, by the way. Brothers find themselves in a dark forest inhabited by strange and creepy creatures stalking birds, witches and beasts. The show just throws you into the atmosphere of fear and mystery. Each episode shows something new and imaginative. It is the perfect modern Halloween fairy tale, inspired by the American folk tales, traditions, classical animation, and music from the 1920s and 30s. The music is just amazing, with its dark and melancholic undertones, which perfectly capture the mood of the story. You can watch Over the Garden Wall in just one sitting like a movie. It's definitely worth it. In 1984, after the success of He-Man, Mattel decided to create a toy line for girls, and thus She-Ra was born. Immediately after that, Mattel also ordered an animated show to accompany and advertise the toy line. The show was not good, of course. The animation was cheap. All female characters had the same body shape because the show's only purpose was to sell toys to girls. However, in the 2010s, cartoonist Andy Stevenson took the original concept and characters and created a truly amazing remake. The new show is fantastic in almost every way. Good animation, diversity, characters of different skin colors and body shapes, LGBTQ representation. The show even has a non-binary character. The story-driven plot, interesting characters, character development, fantasy setting that later on turns into sci-fi, and a great electronic soundtrack that is worth listening to and separately from the show. She-Ra is a truly amazing show with one of the most touching endings I have ever seen. My favorite thing is how relatable the characters are. Anyone can find someone to relate to. LGBTQ+, autism, abuse, everything is presented in the show. What can I say? I simply adore this show. It is an amazing fantasy adventure about a human teenage girl, Luz Naceda, who mysteriously ends up in a place called the Boiling Isles, which is inhabited by witches, monsters, and other utterly peculiar creatures. Luz, wishing to become a witch herself, becomes an apprentice of a rebellious local witch named Ida, who lives with a pin-sized demon named King. The show is amazing for many reasons. It completely turns familiar fantasy tropes inside out in order to present some new, fresh, interesting ideas. It has Disney's first LGBTQ main character and even first on-screen same-sex kiss. The Owl House is similar to Amphibia in many ways. Some people still expect crossover between them, but the Owl House is way more serialized and doesn't really feature many filler slice-of-life episodes. This is one of the reasons why the third season was almost cancelled. Eventually, however, season 3 was reduced to just 3 40-minute special episodes instead of a full-length season. This second reason is debatable. Some people say it's because of LGBT representation. The show was, just like Steven Universe before, banned in many countries. Some people think it's because Disney lost tons of money during the pandemic as their parks were shut down. Anyway, you really should watch The Owl House. It is the best Disney show since Gravity Falls. This is an anthology series. Each episode is its own unique story with a unique art style. The episodes vary not just in animation style but quality as well. Some episodes are fantastic, some aren't as great, but in general each episode has something interesting to offer. Episodes are made by different people working in different studios and even different countries. This is a fascinating show. Most episodes are sci-fi or horror, or both. All in all, Love, Death and Robots is just a great and fascinating animated experiment. There are 3 seasons currently released and the 4th season is already announced, which will probably come out next year. It's hard to find someone who hasn't heard of Arcane. It is one of the most expensive animated shows ever created, if not the most expensive. Estimated budget of the first season is $90 million, which means an average cost per episode is roughly $10 million. For comparison, Attack on Titan, one of the most expensive anime shows, cost $150,000 per episode. The production of Arcane is fantastically expensive and complicated, but the result is truly magnificent. It is one of the best animated shows ever released and definitely the best show released in recent years. The animation is astonishing, just like world building, story, action scenes. The show is based on League of Legends, but you don't even need to know what League of Legends is. The show is self-contained and doesn't require any knowledge of the lore or characters. This is a seasonal anthology series, meaning that each season is a self-contained story that isn't really connected to the previous season. It has a different set of characters with different goals and motivations. They all end up on a mysterious infinity train and they have to find a way to get back home. Each wagon of the train is its own fantastic world that doesn't follow any rules of logic. This show is very mature and dark despite being family friendly. There are even some brutal on-screen deaths, especially in the third season. It is a very unique show that definitely deserves attention. The first season is probably the weakest one, so don't give up if you don't really like it. Seasons 2 and 3 are definitely great. The show is based on a comic book series by the same name. The main protagonist is a 17-year-old boy named Mark who happens to be a son of Omni-Man, the evil version of Superman who came from a powerful civilization of interstellar fascists who want to conquer the galaxy. However, people on Earth think that Omni-Man is a hero who wants to help them like Superman. And Mark inherits superhuman abilities from his father. He tries to learn how to control his abilities and how to be a hero that Earth deserves, while, little by little, discovering his father's dark secret. The show is incredibly brutal. There is a lot of blood and gore. The second season is set to be released in November 2023. This was my list of 10 shows that you should watch. Of course, I try to avoid some obvious choices like Gravity Falls or Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I think most people saw and were discussed enough already. Anyway, stay on this channel for more content like this.